Ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube universe, what is going on with you on this Friday afternoon? It is Friday, April 12th, 2024, roughly 3:33 p.m. California time. I am, of course, your always gracious host, Fallon from GoNootropics.com, coming at you with the Yogi Positivity Tea. Cheers. Good to see all you guys cruising through here on this Friday. You could be doing a million things. You chose to click on this video, so for that I appreciate you. We are sipping on the Yogi tea, trying to switch away from the black coffee every morning. You know, the black coffee, I'm realizing, just crashes the blood sugar, elevates the cortisol. And, the teas tend to not do that, at least for me personally. So this is the Yogi Positivity Tea. And it's got quite a zing to it if you're somebody who wants to switch away from the coffee, the black coffee. The Yogi I think it's called the Positivity Tea. I'll flick it up on the screen here. It's got a nice little zing to it. So it's a GoNootropics approved drink for the morning if you need that carcass animated, right? So, today we wake up and we just wonder, how are we going to animate the carcass today, baby? How are we going to do it? It's been Kratom for many, many years. That's how we've animated the carcass. So now we're having to come up with new solutions. So, and I'm almost going back to, my old stacks before the Kratom took over, my old stacks before the Kratom became such a dominant force in my life. All these old nootropic stacks that I came to rely upon, and they were effective, and they were this and they were that. A lot of these classic stacks that you just, a lot of them you can't get anymore. Like yesterday I was thinking about Typin Sulfate. And, Nootropics Depot being almost unrecognizable in their current form. You guys remember Typin Sulfate from Nootropics Depot? I think they used to sell that, which is amazing. Unrecognizable in their current form, which Typin Sulfate was, I think, a top tier antidepressant. I think it's a top tier nootropic. At least with the sulfate version, the opioid agonism wasn't so in your face like Typin sodium. It was almost, the opioid component was almost imperceivable, but it did provide, I believe, one of the best antidepressant effects of probably any nootropic I've tried before, and it didn't come with that crash. It didn't come with that brain fog. Like Kratom, which almost feels dirty in comparison. So I don't have any Typin sulfate, but what I do have is some of these classics like Theacrine. Took a little bit of that today, about 100 milligrams Theacrine. 500 milligrams of Alcar with some Mucuna. Now, the Theacrine and the Alcar have been staples of mine for a long time. Those are two very good, very energizing nootropics. The Theacrine, take it real early because it does last a long time. It will keep you up if you take it too late. Very long half-life, the Theacrine. The Alcar is of course a staple. Once again, mentally energizing, gives you that boost, stacks very well with caffeine if you're drinking coffee or tea in the morning. Now, the Mucuna is kind of a new addition. Never really messed around with the Mucuna too much, and I'm trying to figure out what's all the fuss about with Mucuna. You hear people talking about Mucuna. I've tried Mucuna. I've tried the 99.9% pure L-Dopa, and I don't think I'm getting any value whatsoever out of these things. The Mucuna, the L-Dopa, you let me know if you have experience with this. You like Mucuna. What's it do for you? I'm trying to figure out what this does. Every time I take it, it's just kind of lackluster. I don't even know if it's working, right? I don't know if it's working at all, the Mucuna. But anyways, took 5 grams of the Mucuna powder today. And, it's something that I hear so many people rave about. And it just kind of sits in my cabinet on the table over here. And every once in a while, I'm like, well, maybe let's give the Mucuna another shot. And every time I do, I'm just kind of let down. It's like, what's this stuff supposed to do? Right? So today's carcass stack was the Theacrine, the Alcar, the Yogi Positivity Tea, and 5 grams of the Mucuna, and which I don't think is working at all. We've got a big old bag of the Mucuna here, and it's probably after this, if it doesn't produce some type of benefit, it will just rot like many of the others that don't work. It will just rot. It will sit there. It will do nothing, and maybe I'll revisit it, later. But as of this point, I don't get any benefit out of the Mucuna at all. But the Theacrine, the Alcar, these types of things, these have been staples of mine for a long time, and they work pretty good. If you gotta animate the husk, right, and you're digging into the repeats, and you're trying to figure out, is it a thyroid problem, right? Is it Hashimoto's? Is it Cushing's? Is it hypothyroid? You're digging into repeat, repeat. And I'm just realizing nobody really knows, man. Nobody really knows, like, what you're supposed to do or where you're supposed to go. It's just a bunch of theories out there. All these guys, for the good that they do, it's in the research. And, many of them do approach this whole thing with the scientific approach, right? And they're all about the science and the studies and this and that. And it's just a matter of, is it going to work for you, right? But I don't think really anybody has it nailed down. The best way I could see it is like the keto stuff works. All these kind of diets work because they all just eliminate the really bad processed foods. They all eliminate the junk. That's the one thing they have in common is you switch to veganism, keto, carnivore, one of these other things. Well, that has a side effect of eliminating the junk. And I think keto in particular works well for a lot of people just because meat is kind of the least compromised of the foods. You look into all the shit that's sprayed on the foods and you look at all the genetic modification, which the science says don't matter, right? Science says no difference with the genetically modified foods. Here, we got the paper, baby. We got the paper. No difference at all. No iodine in the soil, right? These are huge problems. I've been taking the iodine lately, which I think is helping. I'm noticing my temperature is slowly starting to raise, not by much, just little by little, the temperature is starting to raise. I've been taking my temperature like a crazy person to see if any of this works, and you really work yourself up into a frenzy if you think you have a thyroid problem and you're taking your temperature, you're taking your baseline temperature in the mornings. And I could go to the doctor and get this stuff tested, right? I could go get the TSH tested. I could see if my prolactin levels are elevated. I could test the, testosterone levels. I could go get the full blood work, hormonal panel, this and that. But, if I went and did that, and let's say worst case scenario, underactive thyroid, hormones out of whack, prolactin levels through the roof, this and that, Oh, what's their solution? What's their solution going to be for me? They're going to put me on one of these synthetic hormones, like my boss. My boss is 77 years old. He's got empty Synthroid bottles everywhere. He's reliant upon the Synthroid because he's 77 years old. So, I could go get all these things tested, all the hormones, all these different things. But what's that going to tell me? I would just treat it like how I'm treating it now with iodine and selenium. If you think you have a thyroid problem, iodine and selenium. You go on Reddit, everybody over there's scared of iodine. People are so scared of iodine, but they'll take these synthetic hormones, man. They'll take these synthetic hormones. They're 35 years old. They're on the Synthroid. They're on these synthetic thyroid hormones. And that to me is just not really a solution. That's just kind of like, it's not solving the problem. You're just kind of patching yourself together. And I look at my boss, and I look at a lot of people who have gone through the medical industrial complex, and they're just kind of hobbled together and patched together with this pill and that pill. And they got to go in every month to get their levels checked. And they're just totally Frankenstein together with all these synthetic pills, synthetic hormones. And to me, excuse me, at 35 years old, that's not really a solution at this point. If you're 35 years old, it's like you should be asking the question, well, what's in the environment? What's in the foods? What's going on that my thyroid level is this low? The solution is not synthetics. The solution is not synthetic hormone. You should be trying to figure out, well, what's causing this? You're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. What's causing this? What's going on? And you look into, we're the healthiest we've ever been. But simultaneously, we feel the worst we've ever felt. So the medical industry gaslights a lot of us into believing, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Just take this pill. Don't worry about the fluoride in the medication, right? Most of these medications, they've got the fluoride. Fluoride displaces iodine in the thyroid, but don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Just take the synthetic version. Don't try to figure out what's actually happening with you. So to me, like, synthetic hormones are not a solution at all. And who knows? It could be just kratom withdrawals. I'm not saying I've got a problem with my thyroid, although there are some indications it could be slightly underactive. Like when I wake up, I'm nearly hypothermic, but slowly my baseline temperature in the morning is starting to rise. So I think the selenium, the iodine is helping. And yeah, it hasn't even been 30 days since I've been off kratom. So we're still in like the recovery phase where, the body's just going to take a little bit longer to recover from this whole thing. And I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm 35 years old. So this could very well take a little bit longer than what I was expecting. At this point, I think we might be 24, 25 days into quitting kratom. I feel pretty good for the most part, but once again, waking up in the morning, testing my temperature's very low. Waking up in the morning, feeling like a Mack truck hit me. Very, very hard for me to get up in the morning. There's just like no energy at all, and that's when you should really be your most energized. But for me, it's the opposite. It's like as the day goes on, I'm getting more energy. As 12 o'clock midnight strikes, that's when I'm most energized. So it's circadian rhythm. I don't know if we're all naturally supposed to wake up in the morning. Some people they're night owls. I've always been a night owl as long as I can remember. But, society is kind of formed around the 9 to 5 thing. So you get up in the morning and that's when everybody's up. That's like the agreed upon time that, well, everybody's getting up. This is the time to do business. And so society is kind of rigged around, the morning person, but some of us just aren't morning people. Like if I had the energy I have at like 2 or 3 in the morning, actually in the morning, right? Like if I had that energy at like 7 o'clock in the morning, that would be great. That would be great. But as it stands, all my energy kind of comes on the tail end of the day once the sun starts going down, which, I might experiment with getting up early. But all attempts to do that in the past have kind of been, it's a real drag getting up in the morning. I do not like the mornings. So I prefer to, do my work at night, write at night, shoot these videos kind of later in the day. So, nobody really knows what's going on. Nobody really has it dialed in. And despite your best efforts, despite your best efforts to eat well, the food is just totally compromised, right? So we're just kind of patching ourselves up, Frankensteining ourselves with these nootropics and synthetics because our environment is very unhealthy, right? The fluoride is in the medications. The fluoride displaces the iodine. And so, that's how they get you coming to the synthetics. So is there a solution, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. But here on day number 24, 25 off Kratom, feeling okay for the most part. Luckily, no cravings. The brain is much more clear now. The brain fog has dissipated to a significant degree. I'm not getting the restlessness at night anymore. And, all the systems are slowly coming back online. But certainly I'm happy to be out of the woods as far as just the horrible acute withdrawals, the restlessness, the real heavy apathy, the real heavy depression, right, was just like, I would say it took me a good week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks to get through those acutes. The restlessness really stuck around for a long time. So we're happy to be out of the woods on that level. And, we're forging into the future and just putting it together piece by piece. So that is the video of the day, ladies and gentlemen. As always, Fallon, GoNootropics.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And I will see you very soon. Peace.